This is awful. Hi, my name is KF Breen. I'm an author and extremely uncomfortable talking to myself in a laptop where people are watching me. So that's where I'm at. So right now I'm sitting in my office. We just moved to this house like in October, so this is a new spot for me. It doesn't have great lighting, kind of. It's got a light. So I can see me there, and it's awkward, first of all. But second of all, so I can also see what you see behind me. And my thumbs are awkward. This is such a weird thing that I'm doing. Okay, so over there, because everything's opposite, that's my shot glass collection of places I've been around the world and friends have been around the world. So if you love me and you live somewhere I've never been, send me a shot glass because I love them. I used to drink out of them. Now I don't really because I fall down. And then there's books. There's not as many books as I used to have because I only really have the favorites back there. You'll see Tolkien, some Harry Potter floating around. The Iliad's not a favorite. My friend wants me to read it and I just haven't. Dune, I don't know, other stuff. Robert Jordan, I like that guy. Not a lot of romance. Oh, Jane Austen, of course, you got Jane Austen. Right, so that's behind me. I think that's files. Oh, I just got that. Where is it? Upside down. I just got that in, this is really awkward. Like everything's seriously backwards, so I'm dumb. That's what it is. Right, I got that in, what's it called? New Orleans. Isn't it cool? So that's gonna go on my office. I've gotten off track. I didn't even have a track in the beginning. I put on makeup. I should plug in my computer. I would never have been able to do a news anchorship. Crazy. I did makeup for you a little bit of makeup, because I didn't want you to like scream and fall over from looking at this in your screen. I got my kid and the babysitter out like in the house, and I'm sure they can hear me, and it sounds like I'm talking to somebody, and there's nobody in here. So that is also awkward. So there's a lot of awkward going on with this situation. I feel like I should have some bangs. I mean, look at the size of the forehead. Jesus. I have some mousse in here because this thing's gone crazy lately because I haven't had a haircut in like a year. Why? Because it's in San Francisco and I just moved north of San Francisco. I look tired. Do you ever just look at yourself and you're like, what is happening with your face? Yikes. Right, moving on. Anyway, Facebook, I have a page, author KF, I think is what it is. And I asked people what questions. I have a monitor over there, turning my computer. There's a painting that I'm going to take down because I don't like it. Whiteboard, other monitor, Facebook. It's up. There's a closet on the other side. You don't care. Right. I asked a question. What do you guys want to know about me or something? Like I'm vlogging. This is not what people want me to yap about. Apparently that is, so let's talk about that. Brianna Tesser. I will pronounce everyone's name wrong because I'm just ridiculous. Brianna asks, do you wake up at night thinking about your characters and their journey? I wake up at night to feed the baby because she's crying. I also wake up thinking, why am I awake? I would rather be asleep. Right now I'm thinking, why is my eyebrow higher than the other eyebrow? So no, not in the middle of the night, I do not. Sometimes I dream, and then I write that down. All other times, well, I usually am in some sort of story or another. So I'm thinking about, because I don't outline, I don't write things down. When I did, it went horribly wrong. I think about the outline in my head. So I think about the story and what might happen and what I'd like to happen. I just kind of live in the world for a while. And through that, I'm thinking about the characters and actions they would do and stuff they would do. And then from that, just like funny situations usually happen, just things that I just, like one character would think something in my brain and then another character would respond in a way and then I'd be like, oh yeah, it's hilarious. So then I always have the phone handy. So in the phone, generally, I write notes. Usually it's like one-liners or like strips of dialogue. That kind of is a place marker for a scene. And then, that scene obviously fits in the whole book. And then from that, things just randomly happen. It's from thinking about the characters when I'm not writing that I get stuff to write about. But I hate waking up in the middle of the night. I hate it. I like sleeping. So if I'm sleeping, I want to stay sleeping until I wake up. I'm just bitter if I'm awake in the middle of the night, so that's not a good time to think. about characters. Moving on, Patrick Riley is under the impression that I'm super artistic. You might be fooled too, because I do write. I am, there is the artistic part of me, obviously. I can weave a yarn, as Russell Blake would say. I can do some paint copying, like I can draw a little bit, so I have done that. But I'm also super math oriented, and Patrick wants to know, what's it like? Because he's a programmer, it looks like. He would make Spock proud. We put a special little smile on Spock's face. But he says, I make actual art. I'm gonna tell you something, Patrick. I'm a math girl. I am more a math girl than an art girl. Actually, I'm probably, like, I use both. I do both. I was an accountant before this. I loved being an accountant. I love numbers. I love spreadsheets. I love hyper organization of putting numbers in, you know, like in accounting, you have buckets. They call them buckets, right? So like you put your expenses in certain buckets, and sometimes you have to, you know, I don't know. It's ridiculous. It's boring to a lot of people, but I like it. I really like it. I went far at math. I'm not smart enough in math to be a mathematician. Probably not an engineer. That's crazy. And I'm not that smart. But I'm more of a math person. Except when I'm being an artist, I guess. So it's not really artistic, I don't think, telling a story. I'm just literally living in another world. And I'm going on a journey myself, and I'm writing that down. And then, of course, along the way, I want to make it easier for you guys to understand what I'm talking about. So, like, in revisions, then I go and I take the garbly crap that I put down, which is just the story, and I try to make it so you guys will know what I'm saying. And then it goes through, like, beta readers and editors and stuff, so you'll, like, again, know what I'm saying. Like, I did well in English, but I can't spell for shit. I'm gonna swear, because that's what I do. I should have chosen a lighter lipstick. I don't really like it. What? I don't know, I get distracted really easily. Probably need a shot. Describe what it's like being in the zone. He's completely fascinated with the art process, feels like, compared to what he does. You know, I don't see any difference because I'm both brained. When I'm sitting there doing my spreadsheets, I'm like zoning out and into it. I'm just thinking about that. I'm very focused. And then when I'm writing, I get out of here mostly, and I try to only write with just like in the situation and feeling it out. And like, I mean, logic definitely speaks up. Like if something crazy is happening and I'm like, ugh, I know it's fantasy, but I have to explain this somehow. Like the magic system in Braving the Elements. I mean, in Darkness series, it's magic. So like, right. But I just have this compulsive need to explain it a little better, like to have a little bit of logic in it. So it could make sense in the real world. So I do have those hang-ups when it comes to the math logical part of my brain. I'm very logical. It's ridiculous. But yeah, as far as like artist, I'm not an artist. Like I'm not an artist. Oh my god, guys, read my baby. They aren't my babies. They're stories that I used to escape. Like I am escaping with you guys. Like as I'm writing it, I want to be in the moment like an actor. It's like I was an actor too at once. I've tried to do everything. Like I get bored so easily, it's ridiculous. If I say ridiculous one more time, we're gonna do a drinking game out of the amount of times I say ridiculous and go. I'm gonna try not to say it. Dude, I just derail myself constantly. Like there you go, boop, boop, boop. After the last kid, like I can't keep my thoughts to myself. They just drift away like Wilson and Castaway. Yeah, but I'm not artistic. I'd make fun of those. I make fun of that side of myself. It's funny. I think that's funny. I think everything's funny. I try to make fun of everything. Let's move on. I don't know. Half this stuff's probably gonna have to be cut because I'm ridiculous. Drink. Kid just probably heard me yell drink. Carrie Fitzgerald, I see her name all the time. She agrees with what Patrick is saying. There's no difference, you guys. I don't like put on a sheepskin coat and go huddle in the closet with my computer and like mad scientists like write stuff. I get in the story and I just like feel my way through it. I'm gonna stand. That's it, I'm standing because then maybe so I have a stand desk, so this is my desk. You're on my desk and it's standing. Oh, this might be worse. This might be worse, you guys, because now you can see that. See that? That's after the last kid too. Can I go higher? Yes. Well, look at there. I should be professional. I wish I knew how. Up more? What? You can see what's around me. Stapler. Okay. Casey asks why I like Joshua so much. I can only think she's talking about this little guy. That's rude. Sorry, Josh. This guy called Josh Anderson. I call him little guy because he's like 19. We were very concerned about letting him into the KF Breen social group. I have a social group if you guys want to chat with me. Because, like, I thought he was kind of young and I'm bold. And my books are bold, and so, you know, but he's old enough. And then I started the Willow Summers pen name. Fans picked that name. And did a group for them. And then he randomly joined that group. And I don't know, someone else said that it was because I invited them, and I wonder if I accidentally invited people to the group. But he was in it. And then all of a sudden, at one day, he was like, why, like, what is this group? Why am I here? Nobody knows why he's there. Because it's romance, and he doesn't read romance. And there's a lot of guy pics. But we do post some naked ladies for him, so that's, at least there's that. So, but he's doing it. There's people outside the office. They can hear me, and I'm embarrassed. Now I feel like I should huddle in the closet. There's my kid. So that's why I like Josh, because he's a good sport. And he doesn't know the world he's gotten himself into, and I feel bad for the guy, so yeah, that's why I like him so much. So screw you, Casey. What's up? Carrie, apparently a programmer who is going to get made fun of for it. Carrie asks, what is my day like? Well, that greatly depends. If I'm writing, what I will do is I will wake up. That starts the day if you're lucky, right? And to get my kids ready, and then the babysitter nanny person comes to watch them. Sometimes I have to take my kid to preschool, which is only 2 days a week, which is sad, until kindergarten. That'll be nice. And then, since it's a writing day, I either come back home and hide in my office in the closet, or I go outside if it's nice and I write. Like, I do 5,000 words a day at the minimum. I don't have to write on the weekends, but usually I do. It's kind of a fast pace for a lot of authors. I'm just balls to the walls kind of person. So I've just always done that many, and I want to continue doing that many because I can, and so why not? Right? Some books, it is so tough to get to that 5,000 words because, like, Warrior Chronicles, for example, there's just so much world, right? So you have to make sure you're like in the world, and there's just so much going on in the world, right? So I have to always pay attention to that. So it's harder to get the words down because I have to be conscientious of, terminology and how they do things and not saying certain slang and stuff like that. So it's harder. If I'm in a place like, if I'm doing a romance, or if I'm doing just like darkness set in like the real world, it's a lot faster. It's a lot easier. It's not easier as far as content. It's just easier as far as the world and getting the world down. And so that strips away some of the toughness. Where's my thesaurus? It's easier, not easier at the same time. So I'm writing, then I sit down, I do 5,000 words. I very rarely stop. Sometimes I'll stop, like move locations, get a tiny bite to eat, and then get it done. I usually am doing that till 1:30 or between 1:30 and 2:30. I'm writing. So I start at like 9ish at the latest, hopefully between 9 and 10. And I get done between 1:30 and 2:30 generally, straight shot. Then I eat because I'm really hungry generally, unless I bring like one of those protein drinks, and that's awesome because then I can just drink that. Don't have to stop. I don't like stopping. I like just getting things done. And then after that, it depends. Sometimes I do administrative stuff. I check in on Facebook and talk to people. I answer emails because there's a lot to do when you self-publish, right? It's an entire business. So writing is just part of it. And it's not even the biggest part. It is part of it. It's like 50-50. Like there's just a lot to do always, which I love. Because if I don't have a lot to do, then I randomly start a new job as a bartender or something. Done that. Or sell knives. Done that. So like whatever. But if it's like today, where I'm waiting for edits to come back and I can't really start this other thing that I really want to do, it's another paranormal. It's kind of like darkness in a lot of respects, with the magic and the crazy. And I want to curve it a little bit like the Warrior Chronicles, where it's also random killing, because that sounds like a good time. Dude, I just lost I have no idea what I'm talking about again. So anyway, I chatted too long with authors, crazies. sent some packages, doing this vlogging thing. I had to shower to be on here, put on some makeup. I even put on a, that's for you. Let me show you something else. Come here. Oh, this has gotten awkward. Can you see it? No shoes. Nope. I am wearing pants, but I'm not wearing shoes. That's how it goes. So yeah, and then after this, I'm going to do some revising. It's 12:30. Oh, I have to eat lunch, so I might have a glass of wine because I'm on a diet and I shouldn't. So that feels like a good idea, I think. Moving on, what process do you go through when you write a book? Well, generally, I get an idea. A lot of authors, like me, have ideas all the time. So like if you ever meet an author and you're like, ooh, I have an idea that you might like, don't do that. Because it's not the ideas that we need, it's the time to get to all the ideas. There's just not enough time to do everything. I settle on the newest idea that I have time to do, right? And I've, like, right at this moment, I have ideas lined up, like way lined up, and I have them in KF Breen Fantasyland, I have them in Willow Romance Land, I have thriller ideas that I'd love to get to. I could do a horror if I wanted to, which I won't because, like, my readers have been through enough. I have ideas all day long. I walk out the house and a new idea hits me and I'm like, ugh. So what I need to do is first I need to settle on what the book's going to be about. Boobs. So I think about it for a while. That's step one. I think about the world. I think about the characters. I think about the various elements of the world. What's interesting to me, what I might want to think more about, and then once I get something, then I start thinking about, okay, what's interesting about that topic? Like, I kind of, in my head, I visualize, like I'm doing it right now, I visualize, like, how the characters are gonna handle this topic. Would it be more interesting if they're fighting, or if they're whatever? What's the downtime? What's the situation like? What's the world, like, what does it look like? So I do all of that. I spend days doing that. I do it in my car, I go for walks with music, and I do it just when I'm supposed to be listening to my kid. I do it when I'm just randomly gazing off to the side because my brain shut down, but that part of my brain's still going. So I do it all the time. So that's step one. And then the next step in this list is the beginning, right? So then I think about, okay, well, where does it start? How does it start? How do I start spiraling into the story? Think about that. Come up with that. Get a squishy sort of beginning. Hone it down a little bit more, crystallize it a little bit more, and then I get to a stage where I'm like, I have to write this down. If I don't write this down, I will forget this. And then I start writing, and then the time starts, right? 15,000 or 5,000 words a day. I need to make sure I have enough idea to go with my word count every day. Oftentimes, this scene kind of morphs into this whole big thing, and then I run with that, and so I have enough for days and days. Sometimes I get to the end of, like, this particular scene. Generally, especially if it's like a big action scene, it comes to, like, the close of the action scene and I'm like, okay, now I need to go do this other thing. Shit, what's that other thing, right? Then I have to think about it. That might be when I change locations or maybe get some lunch and just, again, I just think about it. Yeah, so then I write it. Oh, right, so that's not even nearly the end, right? So that's just writing the book. Right, so get to the end, it's probably the easiest part, is actually the writing. And then I let it sit for a while, usually at least 6, Stephen King says do at least 6 weeks. I usually do more than that because I'm working on other stuff. I'm always working on something. There's always a book in process. Right now I have 3 or 4 books in process and more ideas to go. I gotta get going. I gotta get working. But I'm waiting for this edit, so I can't. So I'm vlogging. I don't know if that's a great use of my time, but I'm doing it. Then I wait. I come back to it. I wonder what the fuck I was doing because it all was shit. What is this paragraph even saying? But yeah, then I rewrite, I tweak, I adjust pacing, and then I do another revision to make sure all the changes I did worked. If they didn't, if I still have to make a lot more changes, shelf it again, come back to it again. Like, I don't let anybody read my stuff unless I am happy with it, unless I am content that I can handle the fierce criticism that's going to come back. So after all the revisions, then it goes out to a few beta readers. They come back with horrible changes to make, and then I just cringe because then I hate making them changes, because at that point I'm like, I'm so sick of this story. I'm so sick of everything. I got it where I liked it. I lived it. That was a great adventure. I'd like to move on now, but I can't, right? Because you guys want to also live the adventure. So in order for you guys to live the adventure, I need to fix all the things that I didn't notice or what have you. So then I fix it for the betas, then it goes to the editor. Now I'm doing a developmental editor, so they just basically are gonna do what my editors do, or my beta readers do, just make sure everything works, makes sense. Then it goes to the line editor, and he makes sure all the grammar is good, like stuff sounds good. You know, that's for you guys. That's grueling. I want to usually stab myself in the face often. And then it goes to a proofreader who just gets all the little fixes. Then it goes through a reader, Donna, who I love. She usually comes up with 5 to 10 things, right? After all of that, there's still 5 to 10 things. Then it goes to Fiona, or sometimes those are swapped. It just depends on who has time. She gets the other little 2 to 5 to 10 things, depending. It just depends. I mean, it's a huge process. Then it goes to my ARC readers, a very select group of readers who have just totally been there through my entire career, most of them, and are hanging on for years. So they might come back with 1 to 3 things, and by then, you hope there's nothing else, but yes, generally a reader randomly might point out 1, maybe 2 things. It is what it is. Like, that's the process. It's a big process. And then I try not to look at reviews, because man, people can break your heart with reviews. There's some great ones as well, obviously, and then there's some horrible ones which make you want to blow something up. I don't know that I can get to all these. I'm bored of myself. I feel like you guys should be bored of me. I need to have some wine. Do you write on more than 1 book a day? I do not write on more than 1 book a day. I don't have time to do more than 1 a day, and I wouldn't be able to switch back and forth between the worlds that quickly, because like I said, I need to think about it. I need to think about that stuff. But I do work on more than 1 book a day. I can write 1 and then do edits for another if the edits come back, because I don't have to, it's the creation that's, I need to have the world in my head. I need to have the characters in my head. I need to know what they would say and do. When I'm revising, or like editing, not revising, but when I'm editing, then I'm just fixing grammar stuff. I'm just fixing, you know what I mean? I'm just fixing stuff. I'll finish Carrie's questions and then we'll save the rest. Jessica says, I just love your face. It's because she hasn't seen it. So, should have thought that comment through. How do you come up with ideas and decide what stays and what goes? Ideas, I told you, that just randomly happens. Depends on how much I like the idea, I guess. Depends on how excited I get over it. So I'm working on this paranormal series here soon. I think I was listening to a song and I got the idea of this like girl in leather who has this special thing that she can do, which I'm not going to reveal because not till the end of the book will we learn about it. Like, I have the last scene already in my head, right? And I have this guy, which I can't show you. Maybe I can show you. So I have this on my desktop. So this is the inspiration. Where are you? Yeah. Hot. That's just on my desktop. I actually have the whole top half of the guy and other pictures. He's the inspiration for, he's going to be a vampire. So I'm excited about writing that guy because he's super hot. And then the girl with the all leather, and there's reasons it's all leather. It's not because she's cool. It's for a very specific purpose. She has a gun and a magic sword, right? Swords for spells being cast at her from like witch folk. Gun is because people, to kill them, right? Why would you use a sword? You can use a gun. Like slaying demons, you would definitely need a sword. Probably. I haven't thought that through. I would imagine they're demons, right? That idea is really cool. Then I just started thinking of snarky one-liners. There's one where this guy told this little girl, when you smile, it makes you pretty. And I thought that was such a dick thing. It was like, fuck you, guy. Don't teach little kids that. Little girls that. She would never say that to a little boy. Don't teach little girls that because you smile. Like, you know, when you walk along the street some a-hole. Like, the last time it happened, I was on Haight Street in San Francisco, and it wasn't even a hobo, but he was pretending to be a hobo because he gets more money that way, and mommy and daddy, like, you don't wear Uggs if you're, like, distraught homeless person. This is like a little mama's boy punk idiot. Anyway, Haight Street, it's one of those things. It's like, smile! I'm like, bitch, I will put my teeth in your face. What? That didn't even make sense. I'll put my foot in your teeth! That's what I meant to say. Teeth in your face? I should have said that actually, because he'd be like, you're crazy. So I was like, what a dick thing to say to a little girl. Like, your smile makes you pretty. When I smile, people start running, right? Nobody wants it. So then, of course, I came up with someone saying it to that girl, and her immediate response of, fuck you. You know, just something like that. So it's like a snarky thing. And then I'm like, oh my God, I love this girl. Because she's just such like a, I'll kill you and then I'll smile at you because you're a dick. So that has to stay. And then I get excited about it. And then I want to write those people. And when I say write those people, I really mean I want to explore those people. And I want to like come up with, I want to put them in situations and just see what happens. But I have this other one that I really like too. So I'm like, hey, marry the worlds, right? But then I'm like, I want to get to it right now, especially after I went to New Orleans. So I went to New Orleans and I'm like, oh my God, the leather girl. This is her spot. This is her spot. Like, I need to write this now. So I'm like, but I have this whole other thing that sets up this whole world that they're in. So that has to come first. And I can't really do it at the same time because we were just like, what? Yeah, I'm gonna have to like make that happen. So anyway, tangent. That's how I know, is when I get really excited about it. Or I just really want to fall in love with a particular kind of guy. Like, that's what happens in romance. I'm like, oh, that guy's hot and awesome. And suddenly, I need to write a heroine to fall in love with him. To vicariously live through her. Because he's awesome. I think that's it. I'm going to stop now. Any snark? I don't know what's... I don't try for snark. I am just a jaded, glass half empty psycho. So the snark is just me trying to make fun of all life's little picadillos. Suggestions for everyday life. Wine. All of your books. Who is your favorite character? I gotta stop. But this is the last one since I said something. Sheila asking me that. I don't know what character. I think Josh and Jenna are my favorite. Because she's just such a like a fuck you, fuck this. Don't try to get your shit over on me. This is happening. This is what it is. And then he's such a nope. I just like the butting heads type of. I need to write more of that. Just the butting heads. Like the newest book that's coming. One of the newest books. There's lots of new books coming. The 47 North book, the Amazon imprint book. I love those characters because she just has no time for him. She's just got her thing. She is just like, she is on top. He calls her princess, and it's basically because she can do no wrong. She is like one of the best, right? She is coddled in this conglomerate. She is like loved. And he's just as smart, but he's like, he's bred to be charged with security, and he's like super overtly sexual, and he's like super confident. It's just funny. He's got a bit of Charles where he's like, dude, we're doing this. And she's like, why are you talking? Let's go somewhere else. You're annoying. You know, I just love that. I'm making no sense anymore. I gotta go revise. I have to revise romance. It's funny. He gets a piggyback ride. Might have some wine a bit later because I really want a glass of wine. I like wine. That's it. That's all. KF Breen. Stopping today's vlog. Done. I had to push the button. Goodbye.